Hi, everybody. Welcome to another virtual parent-teacher conference with Pleasant Grove Junior High. Before we get started, I am going to go ahead and just introduce myself really quick for any parents who don't know who I am. So my name is Miss Reinhold, and I am your student's social studies teacher. I have most likely been with them all year. There was a couple students that came over to my class from Mrs. Phillips after winter break. I've loved getting to know all my students, but just in case you don't know who I am, there you go. Right now, I am your student's world history teacher. Okay, before we get into grades and assignments that students have been doing, I just wanted to give everybody a quick overview of what we've been talking about, what we will be talking about in this world history class. So as a ninth grade team, me and Mrs. Phillip, we have decided that we want to theme this class around world religions. So basically our goal is we want students to know what people actually believe when they hear Judaism or Islam or Muslim or Buddhist. We don't want students to fall back on stereotypes. We want them to actually know some of what people believe, how they live their lives, things like that. So what we started with is we learned about early civilizations, so the characteristics that make up a civilization, where the earliest civilizations were founded, and that helped set the stage for Judaism and our historical figure who changed the world for Judaism, which was Abraham. Right now, we are moving on to Rome. So we have talked about the start of the Roman Empire. We are getting into Christianity and Jesus as our historical figure. Because Jesus was born into the Roman Empire, we spent some time in class giving the kids background knowledge about kind of the world that Jesus was born into and where Christianity started. We will be moving on to Islam and Muhammad after that. And then our last world religions will be Buddhism and Hinduism. After we talk about the world religions, we are kind of going to go back in time for a little bit and talk about other historical figures who changed the world, like Aristotle, Socrates, Plato, our Greek philosophers, talk about Greek culture and mythology, lots of great stuff there. We are going to talk about the Middle Ages and Martin Luther towards the end of this semester. And then our very last thing that we will be talking about is Gandhi and Nelson Mandela and more of recent figures who have really changed the world. Okay, and now getting into some of our grades. This term has unintentionally ended up being really map test heavy. Sticking a little bit with our geography stuff, one of our goals for the year was having students learn where the countries around the world are so that when they hear current events, they have a general idea of where stuff is happening. And because of that, we have been trying to really push these map tests. And like I said, unintentionally, that has ended up being a big part of their grade. A couple of other things that are big assignments and have had a decent impact on student grades is the Term 2 planner. So every day in class, students come in, they write down a planner, some planner info for the day. So when they're at home, they know what tests are coming up, what's going to be due next class, all that stuff. And the stuff from Term 2, the planner from Term 2 is due at the beginning of the term. I still have a decent chunk of those that are missing. And so having a 0 on that is bringing down some students' grades. Okay, the really big one though that is pulling grades down is the second one, which is girls and access to education, a poster paper that we had all the kids make in class at the end of term 2. So we did a big case study in geography about how around the world a lot of girls do not have decent access to education and the impacts that it has on their country and global economy, stuff like that. And as kind of the final project for that, kids were assigned to take a stat we talked about in class and turn it into a poster that we could display in the hall. And it was worth 25 points right from the start of the term. So that really impacted a lot of student grades if they didn't get it in. So if it's still missing, that means I have not had it turned in. So please encourage your students to get that one in. It's not super hard. It just takes a decent chunk of time to design the poster. So please encourage your students to get that one in if they have not yet. A couple of students have zeros on their current event right now just because they have been assigned and they've been assigned to present for a couple weeks and still have not got it in yet. So to help remind them and encourage them to get it in, I've marked them as a 0, which is out of 30 points. So again, a decent chunk of their grade. So just in case you don't know what this is, twice in the year, so once first semester, once second semester, students take turns researching current events and then presenting it to the class, since a big chunk of social studies is being aware of what's happening in the world. They have a packet that walks them through exactly what they need to do. If your student has been assigned and has that 0 on their grade, please encourage them to come talk to me if they're confused, or just encourage them to sit down, look at the news for a couple minutes. It really shouldn't take that long. It's just setting aside some time to actually research some current events that's hanging a lot of kids up. Okay, and then like I mentioned, the map tests have been kind of heavy. So if a student hasn't done super great on a map test, that's probably going to bring their grade down. Okay, but this is what I would encourage you to encourage your student to do about it. First, and most importantly, just get your late work in. I accept late work on almost everything. In the syllabus, it says that map packets cannot be turned in late this year because of the nature of the year. I have been trying to be a little bit more flexible with that. So if it's marked as a 0 or missing, have your student come talk to me about it. We can work something out. Okay. If it's a map test that's bringing your kids' grades down, I just want you all to know that I try to give students as much as they can to study for those. We do map packets in class for a study guide. I have quiz links on Canvas. So the main thing I would have you encourage your students to do is just take some time to study for the upcoming ones. Map tests cannot be retaken. It's a one shot. But to make up for that, I do allow students to do an extra credit opportunity at the end of the term to help offset one bad test. So at the end of the term, students who have everything turned in, they can do that extra credit. It will bring their grades back up. But right now, until the end of the term, the main thing is just help encourage them to study for the upcoming map test so that it doesn't bring their grade down even further. Okay, and that leads us into our really big announcement. So the reason we've been doing these map tests, breaking them up, is because we have our big final test at the end of the year. It's kind of like our year-long project that we've been working on. And we call it the end of the world test. So all of the map tests we've done are going to be combined into one big test. Students will need to know about 175 countries. Okay, so we're just giving you a heads up. They will have all of fourth term to study for this review. We'll do some stuff in class, but we are just trying to get the word out now, let parents know that this big test is coming up, and to help encourage students to gradually be studying, reviewing the countries that they've already learned, so they'll be prepared at the end of the semester, or at the end of term 4 for this big test. And of course, our last thing is, above all else, I really want my students to succeed. I don't want anybody to fail. I want everybody to be comfortable coming and talking to me and working on their grades, whatever they need help with, going over lesson material, anything like that that's falls within the realm of a teacher's job, right? So if there's anything you ever want to talk to me about, I am more than happy to schedule a face-to-face meeting if you want to come into the school. If you don't feel comfortable coming into the school, we can do a virtual meeting over Google Meets. Okay, just if it's a quick question, you can always email me. But if you ever want to set up a time or have a question, the best way to contact me is through my email. So areinhold@alpinedistrict.org. I've loved, hearing from parents and being able to work with students. So please, again, feel free to contact me anytime you think you or your student needs help with world history. And that is all I've got for you. So have a great night.